Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Karen C. Morales, and I serve as a trustee here at DuPage Unitarian Universalist Church. I am the clerk of the board, which means today I will be taking minutes at our annual meeting and confirming that we have a quorum. We want to welcome everyone to our open and inclusive virtual community this morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold that there are many spiritual paths to truth and meaning, and we pledge to support one another as we explore these paths. We are so glad you were able to find us this morning and join us for our live stream service. Please check the church website at dupageuchurch.org for updates. If you search under DuPage UU Church on Facebook, you will find a number of ways to be in community with us as well. A quick reminder that at 10:30 today, we hold our annual meeting. The annual meeting is necessary, 11:30 today, we hold our annual meeting. This is a necessary step that we take in order to pass our budget for the coming year and elect, I should have written this down, and to elect our new church positions. It will be held virtually. Details are available on the church website, or if you are a member, you should have received an email with all the details. Thank you. I would check that email really closely and the website really closely. I'll check.
Thank you, Vera. Good morning. Today's service is intentionally shorter than usual and will be followed by our annual congregational meeting at 11:30, which I wish to remind you will be on Zoom, not on YouTube. Details on how to log into Zoom are in the recent email from the church as well as on our Facebook page and our website. You may wonder how this came about. I'm told that for many years, this church held the annual meeting in lieu of a Sunday service. Thinking about potential visitors, not to mention the needs of current members and friends, I went to the Sunday Services Committee and the board and said, I believe we need to have a service every single Sunday, rain or shine. The compromise we made for this year was a shorter service followed by the meeting. Of course, at the time that we decided that, none of us knew that we would be doing a virtual service. As we prepare to light our flaming chalice, I want to say, if you haven't heard, we've been inviting everyone to find or fashion some sort of chalice for your home so you can light it on Sunday morning when we do the chalice lighting. There are many creative ideas one might try in the coming weeks if you're so inclined. We've seen chalices made from clay or glass or even Legos. Please join all those in this congregation who are lighting chalices at home, knowing that we are all doing it together. These words are by my colleague in ministry, the Reverend Marta Valentin. We pause this morning from the chaos of the world to reclaim the beauty within these walls that carry us through the week. We lift this community onto our shoulders with pride and grace-filled expectations for our children and our children's children. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all. Our opening hymn is number 360 in the gray hymnal, Here We Have Gathered. The words will be on your screen.
Please join me in our spoken affirmation, and we will go directly into the sung affirmation afterwards. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. It is time to gather. Now, some religious traditions emphasize going deeper. Others stress becoming pure or disciplined. In contrast, the Unitarian Universalist instinct leans in the direction of going wider or becoming more. This is referred to as the horizontal dimension of the spiritual life. not meaning to belittle the vertical dimension that focuses on one's relationship with the Spirit, we've most often looked sideways to the relationships around us to find the divine. All of which leads us to community as a spiritual practice. Indeed, UUism is arguably all about extending our circle of community. UU sermons constantly revisit the mystical truth that who we are does not end at the barrier of our own skin, but is found most fully as we experience interdependence with others. And I've asked some of the kids and adults of our church community to share what community means to them or what community looks like.
I think community is like a group of people that goes to a church or has a belief.
To me, community means a group of people coming together for a common purpose. It doesn't always mean that those people think identically or along the same lines about everything, but for that common purpose, they come together and get something done and get it done well.
Being together with people.
Community is a group of people that agree on a couple things that they believe in, and then help everyone kind of, meet other goals or anything else that they need help with. If you have hard times, those people then come and help you out, and then likewise for you, help them out also.
Community means to me is a group of people who have developed a kind of a sense of a strong group friendship, and they're willing and are able to interact with each other in more natural ways than they would with other people.
To me, community means people helping out when you need them and you can't do everything yourself and you have to depend on other people for something.
The bouncy house again. The bouncy house.
To me, community is the people around you that touch your life and whose lives you can touch.
And Dad, and Cassidy, and Andrea, and Ruby, and Christy.
Is a group of people who are demonstrating care for one another and demonstrating that they understand that doing things for the better of the whole is much more rewarding and better than doing things for the benefit of the self.
People gathering together. Taking care of the country.
I think to me, community is the people who are around you, who are closest to you, who both support you, but also who know your true self. So they know you on a level that maybe people outside that circle don't know you. So community is people who both know you, but also can challenge you.
Community means the people around you, the people who help you, the people who support you, and even the people who you don't like.
Community to me is having a group of people we can share our lives with outside of our home. So friends to share experiences with, or have meals with, or learn together with, and laugh with. And I know we'll be glad when we can get back.
Like, community means to me something really important, because like my community is like all my friends and stuff, and also like firefighters and police and all that.
Community is all the people that not only feels good to have around you, but that you know will be there when you really need them. We have good community here.
We do have good community here. And yes, this opening and extending of self comes with sacrifice and the weight of great responsibility. As nationally known author Rabbi Lawrence Kushner puts it, if everything is connected to everything else, then everyone is ultimately responsible for everything. The more we comprehend our mutual interdependence, the more we fathom the implications of our most trivial acts. We find ourselves within a luminous organism of sacred responsibility. Now, this can seem a burden, but it is a burden that quickly dissolves into grace. This idea of grace and giftedness is what this month is about. Living a life of community and compassion is ultimately about discovering we are not alone. We are more alike than we often imagine. Trusting and depending on one another is not nearly as risky as we tell ourselves. We truly are one family that is better off together than we can ever be alone. And speaking of our community, I want to acknowledge the volunteers that allow us to have a religious education program here at our church. We also want to acknowledge the children and youth that participate in our program and our church. Strong is what we make each other, and we are the community of this church. And being in community together is tough sometimes, but it is also something to celebrate. This year, our church community came together so that we can provide religious education and enrichment to the children and youth of this church. We had over 35 volunteers teach, mentor, and facilitate the young people of our church. Normally, I would ask you to stand as I call your name. You can still stand if you'd like, but I would like to name and give thanks to each of you. The Religious Education Committee: Wendy Cortez, Jen Johnson, Carrie Friedman, Nell Haslett-Bruce, and the co-chairs Sarah Rubin and Teresa Salih. Our Sunday morning teachers: for our preschool kindergartners, Spirit Play, Sandra Knight, Nell Haslett-Bruce, Riley Love, Hannah Brubaker. Our first through third grade class: Alex Martinson, Kevin Malquini and Laura Kuber, Rorik Larson, Amy Moore. Our fourth through sixth grade teachers: Dave Pressig, Kristen Tang, Sarah Rubin, Kat Gelder. Our facilitators for coming of age: Cheryl Hines, Mike Nigro, Mark Els. And our high school youth group advisors: Wendy Cortez, Chris Brown, and Beth Cuny. We also have the coming of age mentors that you met a couple weeks ago for the coming of age service: Dave Gorman, Karen Hutt, Kristen Tang, Jim Wharton, Sarah Linsink, Justin Hobbs, Joe Wilmarth-Tyna, Todd Harcharik, and Eric Benyon. And then we have all the substitutes, backups, and last-minute stand-ins. So if you want to applaud this group in your privacy of your room, but I do want to show my gratitude for the work that you've done and those of you that have helped when we went to creating videos. I wish to thank all of you for helping to grow our children. And as with many villages and communities, some people are born into it, some people join it during their life journey, and some people move out to join new and different communities. I would like to recognize some young adults who aren't necessarily leaving our community as a whole, but are graduating out of the Youth Religious Education program. Over the years, They not only receive the gift of religious education, they have given and contributed to the community. Some have taught religious education to the younger children, and some have provided music during our worship. So congratulations to Adele Gorman, Robin Hazard, Chris Morgan, and Jonah Linsink. And now I would like to invite Vicki Hellier to introduce the next choir piece.
This piece, Great Heart, was selected by John T. Farmer, who was the top bidder at our most recent DUUC auction for the chance to select a piece for the choir to sing. We were going to sing this at the March 15th service, but of course we needed to close the church that week. I didn't want to leave without having fulfilled my promise to John, so the choristers and instrumentalists generously agreed to do a virtual version of the piece. I always like to share why someone has chosen a particular piece, and John wrote this. I've loved this song ever since I heard it over 30 years ago. It summed up what I was looking for. A great heart is brave, fearless, and full of compassion. A great heart is an inspiration, a thing to hunger after and to emulate, one that you willingly follow. I recently discovered what the African line in the final verse means. Body grows old, but heart remains young. Find a great heart to stand by you, and be a great heart to stand others by. Thank you, John, for these lovely words and for selecting this fun and energetic piece, which also has great meaning. You'll see there are choristers and guests. I'm looking at you, Tony and Alan Morgan, and Saki the Sock Puppet. We're inspired by the upbeat nature of the Jimmy Buffett version of this piece. Great Heart.
Across the heavens, there's a whispering song of the wind in the grass. There's a roll of thunder across the savannah, and a hope and a dream at the edge of the sky. And your life is the story of the wind. Your life is the story like the wind.
I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart
to hold and keep me by.
I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart
under African sky.
I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart.
I see the fire in your eyes.
I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart
that beats my inside. Sometimes I feel that you really know me. Sometimes there's so much you can show me.
Sometimes.
Oh, 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 oh,
shall we?
Sometime I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart who comes in Bossa Elysium. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart who comes in Bossa Elysium. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart who comes in Bossa Elysium. I'm searching for the spirit of the great heart who comes in Bossa Elysium.
That was fun. I want to thank the choir and Vicki Hellier and everyone who was involved. It was a lot of moving parts and a lot of work to put all of that together, I know. So it came out really well. And thank you to all who did it. In recent months, we have been challenged to make of our lives a church, to live out our spirituality in some way other than a weekly pilgrimage to our sanctuary. Even without one's weekly sojourn in this building, we call upon others, such as all the people you've seen on your screen today and many others behind the scenes. Everything we do is made possible by the generous support of you, our members and friends. There is a link on your screen for making an offering. If you have never used this link before, we encourage you to do so. Like everyone, the church is feeling the crunch during the pandemic too. What we do, again, is only possible with your continuing support. And for this, we thank you ever so much. This morning's offering will now be received. Thank you, Vera. We often talk about being in community and find that it has become more difficult to feel like we are still in community when we are socially distant from our friends and family during this pandemic. I feel like I've been preaching the same message in the last couple of months. It boils down to this: we are still a community, and we still need each other. And that message is usually followed by an exhortation: if you know of a member or friend of this congregation that is truly isolated right now, reach out to them and offer your support and your friendship from afar. I've also been reminding you and myself that the church is its people, not the building. Yes, the building is closed, but the church is not, in the sense that we, the people of this church, are still intent on caring for each other and promoting goodwill in our surrounding communities. So here we are. In these times we are living, we have seen a pandemic, and now the protests and movement to proclaim what should be self-evident, that Black Lives Matter. While all of us in this faith community are physically separated, many of us perhaps feeling alone or powerless. It feels like we've stepped into a new world. This causes us to ask ourselves, in this new world, what is our story? Elizabeth Tarbox answered that question in this way, and she said, "And so I say ours is a story of faith and hope and love. I say it is our need for one another that binds us together, that brings us laughing and limping into relationships and keeps us at it when we otherwise might despair at the fix we are in. I say it is the holy we need, the eternal beyond our comprehension, and one place we can find it is here, working and worshiping together. And I say there is a transcendent value worthy of our loyalty upon which we may set our hearts, and its divine manifestation is love." As we think of all that is happening in the world, Elizabeth's words remind us that the defining value in the social justice work of Unitarian Universalism is love. It has become common for UUs to show up at social justice events wearing our various yellow Siding with Love garments. At a previous church I served, I went to a community meeting with a few church members, and someone there said to me, someone not part of the church, said to me, "Oh, I know who you are. You're the love people." Well, Unitarian Universalist is a mouthful, so being known as the love people is okay with me. I say let's hold on to that. When we see the violence and polarization in the world, I believe that the best response that we as UUs can provide is love. Perhaps that sounds trite, but I believe it to be true. I don't believe that peace is fostered by war, nor do I believe that violence engenders safety. We want change in our society, and I do support those who are making their voices heard however they can after centuries of being ignored. But in the end, I think that it will come back to love and peace to calm our world. Words of division and hatred will not bring about change or peace. However, listening with a loving heart and open mind just might. And I think it is our responsibility as the love people to promote that in the wider community. Living in community, feeling a sense of community seems so elusive right now. Sometimes it feels that America will never come back together. We wonder if we, the DuPage UU Church, will ever come back together. We do not know if Black Lives Matter will succeed in its efforts at law enforcement reform. We do not know if the polarized sides that feel hatred for others not like them will ever come back together in some sort of unified whole. We do not know if the coronavirus will die out or spread further. We have so many uncertainties. And for many of us, we are trying to face those uncertainties alone. We yearn for a time when we can be together again. When I lived in California and later in Massachusetts, I used to occasionally cross paths with a poet and author, pagan and environmental activist, feminist and visionary, who goes by the fabulous name of Starhawk. She wrote an evocative poem about community, which just speaks to my heart today, so I will share it as our closing thought. We are longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned, we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere, there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere, a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends. Somewhere, someplace where we can be free. To which I can only add, may it ever be so, and blessed be you all. Our closing hymn is number 131 in the gray hymnal, Love Will Guide Us. Know this, community does not exist in stasis. It is ever evolving and changing. We must change with it to continue as contributing members of the community. Know this as well. Community is messy and maintaining it is hard. It is the responsibility of us all to contribute to community to help it grow and thrive. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all. Service. At 11:30, we will gather again, this time on Zoom, for our annual congregational meeting. Again, the link to join that meeting should have come to you in your email. You may also find it on the church's Facebook page or on our website. Thank you, and see you all soon.